하이델베르그 tour of the castle interior. Ticket for a guided tour of the castle interior have to be purchased at the ticket office, which is on your right as you enter the courtyard through the gate tower. This tour starts opposite this ticket office in the Ruprechet building, circa 400, the oldest surviving building of the castle. The two main rooms on the ground floor are the same size, with both being about 8 meters high and having cross-vaulting with bosses ornamented with roofed coat of arms. Models of the castle as it was before and after its destruction. A family tree of the Whistlebaugh, the number of glass display cases showing archaeological finds and carved Renaissance fireplace of great quality complete the furnishing. The latter came from Frederick II, Hall of Mirrors building, and bears the date of 1546. Upstairs, there is also a permanent exhibition dealing with German Romanticism, with particular emphasis on this movement's important connection with Heidelberg. Gloomy passageways lead through the ruins of the library building to the King's Hall, which once comprised the royal floor of the former women's quarters. It can once again be seen in all its splendor when serving as a ceremonial venue for reception, such as that in 1979, when a Heidelberg girl, Sylvia Sommaras, visited her hometown as Queen Sylvia of Sweden and was honored with a state reception. And the weather is unfavorable during the Castle Festival. It provides shelter for concerts and plays otherwise intended to be performed outdoors. The portrait of the Prince-elect reminds the onlooker of its past, and to the remains of the wing pump in the neighboring ground floor room of the Barrel building. All that remains of the Hall of Mirror building are the external walls with their massive tapered columns and the rooms of the projecting gabled gatehouse, where Greenberg lived for a while. A doorway leads into a magnificent Frederick building, the building that survived the catastrophe of past centuries with the least damage and was slowly and expertly restored by Carl Schaffer between 1897 and 1900. The two upper floors originally served accommodation for the elector, but nothing of the original interior has been preserved. Nevertheless, the stage of the electors by Sebastian Gorge, which once graced the facade, still reward carefully inspection. The detail of clothing and armor are so intricately sculpted in stone that one can make out every buckle and strap. Other furnishing, though, like the stuccoed ceiling, the floor, and the carved doorways, are later additions in the style of the Renaissance, as are the tiled stoves, the iron grate black plates, and the piece of furniture and the furnishing which have been acquired from various museums. The vaulted castle chapel with its Baroque altar, the restored upper hallway of the Frederick building with its ornate stucco ceiling. The one original interior that has been preserved, however, is the ground floor of the Frederick building, which is completely occupied by the castle chapel. Originally designed to be very plain and simple in keeping with Calvinist principles, it was fitted out with a Baroque altar and private pew for the elector and the castle vessel. The King's Hall is still a splendid venue for gala occasion. And the castle vessel to the Palge-Dubarak family in 1685. Above the altar, Prince-Elector John William immortalized himself and his consort, Medici by birth and daughter of the Grand Duke of Tuscany, by placing their coat of arms here. The royal hallway of the Frederick building contains original figures from the facade. There are also some interesting coat of arms on the state of King Christoph of Denmark, i.e., both those of Scandinavian countries and those of his hereditary Heidelberg land. We should note one particular detail of Prince-Elector Johann Casimir, who built the Ball building. He is wearing the English Order of Garter. When the custom dictated below the knee, no church service has been held in the chapel since 1804, although it's still popular as a venue for wedding ceremonies. The rooms of the Frederick building were restored about 100 years ago. Model showing the castle before the destruction of 1689. The German Apothecary Museum. The German Apothecary Museum, free entry to those with a ticket for the castle courtyard, present a unique collection of equipment, instrument, laboratory apparatus, vessel, medicine, document, and book related to the field of medicine from the Middle Ages up to the 19th century. Being the most extensive exhibition of its kind in the world, it's by no means of your interest for specialists, and it provides a fascinating introduction into the often bizarre history of medicine. The German Apothecary Museum is located on the ground floor of the Otto Hellny building. First set up in Munich in 1937, the collection found its way to Heidelberg after its premise were bombed out during the Second World War in 1944. The museum has been given a particularly appropriate setting in the royal story of the Ludwig building and the Apothecary Tower. Medical history is brought to life. The German Apothecary Museum. German Apothecary Museum of the Otto Hellny building tell opening hours daily 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Entrance included in entry fee to Castle of Court. The Gate Tower of Mud. After its construction by Ludwig IV, the Gate Tower served to protect the main entrance of the castle and functioned as what the local dialect called Land, i.e., the watch tower provided a lookout over a wide stretch of countryside and for spotting any approaching enemy. With a height of 52 meters from the bottom of the boat, it was the tallest building in the castle. The warden of the tower lived on the top floor and was responsible for maintaining the large clock. The tower's former stiffly pitched roof was destroyed in the War of the Grand Alliance and was replaced in about 1718 by the present roof. This massive tower was, however, the only castle structure that was able to withstand the destructive intention of the army of the Sun King with only negligible damage. The castle entrance itself was protected by 4 gates and portcullis. In the central vaulted roof, one can still see the opening through which the soldiers on guard duties could pull up anyone who had been trapped here. The unusual jagged crack on one of the heavy iron rings on one of the doors gave rise to the legend to the witch's bite. Supposedly, the owner, in a whimsical moment, promised the castle to anyone who could bite through the ring. Witch then applied all her magic power to the task, but still only managed to leave the trace that one can still see today. Underneath the entrance there is a high vaulted room which was formerly used as a dungeon. As it had no door, prisoners had to be let down into it on the rope or using a ladder. As an additional defense for the entrance, there was a drawbridge located directly in front of the tower, which, like the portcullis, was operated from the first floor. The only decoration of this poorly defensive building compromised the two armed sentries gate giant above the main entrance. Between them, two lions support as cushion, which today lacks a coat of arms. The armorial bearing were probably made of silver and vanished without trace during the War of the Grand Alliance. The whole bridge used to have half timbered superstructure that extends to the bridge house on the other side of the moat, which is almost 20 meters deep. In front of the moat, in turn, there was once a smaller moat that was likewise defended by a drawbridge and had a side entrance with a narrow plank bridge for people on foot. The so-called sad room of a giant bridge house formed part of the outer defenses and had been built by 1619 during the reign of the Palatine Garden, being part of the support for an upper terrace. It provides a storage place for all kinds of equipment and wagon, and now houses a cafe. Next to is the ticket office, where one can obtain ticket for the castle courtyard.